What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Guys, I had this special request. Somebody sent it to me like a week ago, and you know what? I decided to check it out. From the channel Fascinating Horrors, the Texas City disaster. Y'all know I'm from Texas, so it made sense for me to check this out as well. But y'all hit that subscribe button, send down those recommendations. Let's see what this about.
On the 16th of April 1947, a small fire started on the cargo ship the SS Grandcamp, while it was docked at the port in Texas City. This small fire would begin a chain reaction of fires and explosions that would go on for 2 days, and amount to the deadliest industrial accident in the history of the United States of America, including one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in history. Texas City is located on the Texas coast at the mouth of Galveston Bay. Galveston Bay is one of the most important shipping hubs in the world. Founded in 1893, the port of Texas City quickly became a focal point for industry. A group of investors secured permission to dredge a channel to link Galveston Bay to the Gulf of Mexico, massively increasing opportunities for trade. The economy of the city improved still further when, in 1900, the channel was deepened enough to accommodate ocean-going vessels. These massive ships brought a flood of new business into the city and caused a significant boom in the economy of Texas City. The port of Texas City continued to expand in the years which followed, becoming a truly international port during the pre-war period of the 20th century. Ships from England, France, and Germany would regularly stop there, and many new warehouses and storage tanks were built to cope with the new demand. The port even had a grain elevator and a dedicated electric power plant. In 1940, Union Carbide built a chemical plant within the port, as chemicals and petroleum began to replace the traditional cargo.
This look pretty big. I wonder how it looks right now. If it's still there, I don't know what this gonna tell us.
In 1940, Union Carbide built a chemical plant within the port, as chemicals and petroleum began to replace the traditional cargoes of cotton and grain. During World War II, the port of Texas City was used extensively by the US government, which further increased the prosperity of the area. As World War II ended, many parts of the world were not so prosperous. In order to support the recovery of Europe, the US government offered one of their mothballed ships, the SS Benjamin R. Curtis, to France. France gratefully accepted and renamed the ship the SS Grandcamp, a name taken from a beach in Normandy. The ship was used by the French.
What was that in the water?
A name taken from a beach in Normandy. The ship was used by the French to transport all manner of goods. In 1947, it collected ammunition from Belgium before heading to Cuba and Houston to collect twine and peanuts. The ship then made its way to Texas City, ready to take on its next load of cargo. While the SS Grandcamp was docked in the port of Texas City in April 1947, it was loaded with 2.3 million kilograms, or 2,300 tons, of ammonium nitrate. This was a very common cargo for ships in the 1940s, as it was a component for many munitions, and, in the post-war era, was also used as fertilizer. This was added to the existing cargo of twine, peanuts, tobacco, ammunition, engineering equipment, and cotton.
Man, for sure back then, they used to export so much stuff. That's an insane amount right there.
Peanuts, tobacco, ammunition, engineering equipment, and cotton. It was noted by workers that the bags of ammonium nitrate were warm when they were loaded onto the ship, but nobody saw any reason to be concerned by this observation. On the morning of the 16th of April 1947, at around 8 a.m, workers on the dock spotted smoke coming from the cargo hold of the SS Grandcamp. They located a small fire, which they attempted to put out with a gallon jug of water. When this didn't work, they tried 2 fire extinguishers, but these also failed to completely put out the fire.
Dang, so the warning pretty much came before the destruction. Look at all that in there.
Concerned by
That
this
is
observation.
wild.
On the morning of the 16th of April 1947, at around 8 a.m, workers on the dock spotted smoke coming from the cargo hold of the SS Grandcamp. They located a small fire, which they attempted to put out with a gallon jug of water. When this didn't work, they tried 2 fire extinguishers, but these also failed to completely put out the fire. By this point, the entire cargo hold had filled with smoke, and the dock workers were ordered to evacuate by the ship's captain. The captain also decided that no more water should be used to try and extinguish the fire, as too much water would destroy the cargo. Instead, all of the hatches on the ship were sealed and steam was pumped in, something which it was hoped would smother the fire. This operation was carried out by the Texas City Volunteer Fire Department, and was a recognized method of putting out fires on ships while protecting the cargo.
Dang.
However, in this case, the heat of the steam may have caused the ammonium nitrate to decompose into nitrous oxide, a reaction which produced heat and raised the already dangerously high temperature and pressure within the ship.
Oh yeah, that's it.
8:30,
That's it. That's it.
dangerously high temperature and pressure within the ship. At 8:30 a.m, this pressure became so great that several hatches blew off and a column of yellow-orange smoke billowed out.
What?
The noise and unique colour of the smoke, which could be seen all around the bay, attracted spectators who lined up along the shoreline, all of them fully believing that they were stood at a safe distance.
Not with some smoke.
In most cases, they were not. At 9:12 a.m, the combination of heat and pressure within the SS Grandcamp caused the remaining ammonium nitrate to explode.
Dang.
The blast destroyed almost everything within 600 meters, or 2,000 feet, leveling nearly 1,000 buildings.
Oh my god, see that? Most people be trying to be nosy. I wasn't trying to be nosy with that. If I seen all that smoke, I gotta go. That's too much. And it's yellow-orange.
Or 2,000 feet, leveling
I ain't never seen yellow-orange smoke before. That's a sign that something ain't right.
nearly 1,000 buildings. The shockwave was felt 400 kilometers,
Dang.
or 250 miles away. It
That's
shattered
long.
windows throughout Galveston and blew 2 planes cleanly out of the sky.
What the heck?
The SS Grandcamp's cargo was launched high into the air, some of it at supersonic speeds.
That is wild.
Burning bales of twine and debris rained down on the local area, causing further fires and destruction. The ship's anchor was later found in a crater near the Texas City Railway Terminal,
Wow.
2.5 kilometers, or 1.5 miles, away from where the ship had been docked.
That
Some
is
fires on the shore
crazy.
were quickly extinguished by a 2-story tidal wave caused by the explosion. Enough fires remained burning, though, that first responders were unable to reach the port to tackle the blaze aboard what little remained of the SS Grandcamp. The explosion also tore the nearby SS High Flyer from its moorings, causing it to drift across the harbour. The crew initially stayed aboard, but left when the smoke from the explosion worsened.
Yeah, this explosion did some damage. I don't remember hearing about this in my history classes or nothing. I might have, but I don't know.
A few hours later, 2 crew members returned to look for injured sailors, and discovered that the SS High Flyer's cargo, which also included ammonium nitrate, was ablaze. Beginning at 11 p.m, attempts were made to move the SS High Flyer away from the docks, but these efforts were abandoned at 1 a.m. the following morning. The ship simply wouldn't move.
Dang.
12 hours after that, the SS High Flyer exploded, just as the SS Grandcamp had before it.
And they didn't move it?
Chunks of steel
couldn't
and
move.
burning cargo again rained down on a city that was still reeling from the events of the previous day.
That is crazy.
The first explosion is thought to have killed 567 people,
Dang.
including the 40-man crew of the SS Grandcamp, all but one of the firefighters in attendance and hundreds of spectators. The blast was so
my
powerfully
God.
destructive that 63 people who died were never identified. The second explosion, though every bit as powerful as the first, killed only 2 further people, as the area had been mostly evacuated.
Wow.
The number of dead in this disaster is, at best, an estimate. Indeed, the actual death toll could be much higher. It is likely that, taking into consideration the number of undocumented workers and visitors
Oh
to the
my
port,
god.
that many of those killed were never recovered or recorded.
That is crazy. That's a crazy explosion. Then the fact that another one happened the next day, that was pretty dangerous. That was crazy. That is crazy. Then what got me was, it was a big explosion when they said it took out 2 air. Oh my gosh.
Over
Crazy.
5,000 people were injured, with 1,784 requiring treatment at nearby hospitals.
That's it?
500 homes were destroyed, leaving 2,000 people homeless.
Dang.
The cost of the damage was estimated to be around $100 million, over $1 billion in today's money, a figure that does not take into account the huge amount of oil that was burned up during the double explosion and ensuing fires. The entire country was shocked by the disaster. Donations poured in to help rebuild the city, with benefits held featuring stars of the day, including Frank Sinatra. Over $1 million was raised and $4 million more was paid out in insurance claims. But this still fell well short of covering the $100 million worth of damage that had been done. Desperate for compensation to help them rebuild their lives, 1,394 surviving victims filed a class action lawsuit against the US government, which they believed was responsible for the manufacturing, packaging, and labeling of the ammonium nitrate that had contributed to the blast.
And not taking heed to the fact that somebody said that it was a little toasty in there, they was get a little warm.
A district court found in favor of the claimants, but this was overturned by the US Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals,
Wow.
a ruling that was affirmed by the Supreme Court. The decision was controversial. It was noted that an individual would have been liable if they had caused this disaster.
Yeah.
That the government should be found to not be responsible, therefore, meant that the government was not being held to the same standards as its citizens.
Is the government not a citizen no more? Like, are they not people? What are they? Because from my understanding, just because of your title don't mean that you're just above and better than everybody and the rest. That make no sense. Are you still a person? Are you still a human being? You are responsible. That's what I never understood. I never understood that. I feel like it works the same here with the police. Like, just because you're the law don't mean that you're exempt from what a typical normal person would get in trouble for. It don't exempt you.
Despite the judgment, Congress did provide some support to victims via legislation. By the time the last payment was made in 1957, nearly $17 million had been paid to 1,394 claimants. Many of the major companies that lost facilities in the blast promised to rebuild, and in most cases, they did. Some even expanded their operations, retaining dock workers to help with the rebuilding work. Today, the Port of Texas City is the 14th busiest port in the USA, responsible for over $10 billion worth of foreign trade each year. Memorial Park in the city is home to a small cemetery where the 63 unidentified bodies are buried, and the anchor that was flung across the city stands as a memorial to the victims who died in April 1947.
That's it. Y'all should pay them people their money to get their life together too. That's wild. I don't think I ever heard that story. I never heard that story, at least not in history class. I think this is my first time hearing this. That is wild. That is crazy. See, I guess that's the dangers of exporting and importing, getting imports and exporting things is depending on what it is. Like, it's crazy the fact that somebody says something ain't right. These things are a little warmer than they supposed to be. That is crazy. But the government don't. If it was somebody else that blew it up, they would have got life or in prison or something. But the government, there's no fault against you. Like, what are y'all? Are y'all not what? I don't understand. Are y'all not human? Are y'all not like us? Like, it's crazy. That is crazy to me. But I guess appreciate y'all for sending me this recommendation. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Send me more recommendations, and y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.